Before you watch the video, we kindly ask that you hit the like button. It costs you nothing, helps us a lot. On to the show. Super duty tough work. Somebody got to do it. Might as well be us.
I mean,
the most infamous podcast on planet Earth back again. Blueprint. Illogic. Doing what we do every week. Help artists succeed. Try to inspire you to be the best version of you. Now, last week, dropped an epic interview.
Yeah, fire.
The feedback. Wow. A1. We want to thank y'all for that. That's the first matter of business this morning. Thank you to the Super Duty listeners on every social media platform for letting us know we dropped the hot fire last week.
Yes.
I don't know if y'all know, but it's been well over a year since we did an interview on this podcast.
I know it's been that long.
It's been a long fucking time.
What was the last one?
I can't even remember. See, that's, it's bad if you can't even fucking remember.
Yeah. Can't even remember who it was.
Been about a year, a little more than that. And that's a long time to not do interviews. So we want to start bringing those back, And there's some people that I got on the scope.
Mm-hmm.
We hope to continue this thing, doing what we do every week, but, mixing it up, having some interviews every now and again. So big shout out to Cryptic One, episode 298. Which is Reinventing Yourself. Out now. YouTube. If you ain't following us, follow us. The gram. Follow your boys on the gram. Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. And otherwise, just listen to us on your most convenient podcasting app. Sunday nights at 8 p.m. we drop. Monday mornings, right there for your morning commute.
Right.
Start your week off with Super Duty. Another business announcement. Episode 300 is upon us.
300. Wow.
300 of them things, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah. A lot.
I didn't think we'd make it to 300. That's a lot of episodes.
A lot of episodes.
A lot of podcasts have fallen by the wayside.
Right.
Come and gone in the night. Got abducted by the podcast boogeyman. The hood took them under. Never to return to the podcasting space. Many podcasts can't keep up the pace of this thing that we do over here. But it's no different with our music as it is with our podcasting. Your boys got bars on deck. High output artists.
Mm-hmm.
Some would say prolific. Same thing for the podcast game. So as episode 300 is upon us, we posted on our social media the other day, what should we do?
Mm-hmm.
There was an idea that came through about 2 or 3 times, which was Hood Tales.
Yeah.
And call in Q&A.
Yeah.
I think that might be what we do.
Nice.
So what we're going to attempt to do, folks, for episode 300 is do our first live Super Duty Tough Work. And we're going to ask you all to call in. Number one, with your questions. If you got questions for us, we'll answer them live. Number 2, if you just want to give your boys a shout out and let us know which episode impacted you the most. You might even give us top 2 or 3. That's cool too. Yeah. It's just,
we dropped it's so many jewels. You know what I'm saying? There's so many jewels out there. Can't just pick one. You know what I'm saying? It's like picking your favorite kid.
Come on now. Come on. We can't, we're not going to restrict y'all like that. You can pick more than one, but at least have one when you hop on the phone with us to let us know what it is. The date we're going to do this, not sure yet. It's going to be on a Saturday, most likely. We got one little thing to test with this, live setup thing, and we'll be ready to rock. But episode 300 is upon us, and we are asking for your participation, Super Duty Tough Work listeners. As many of you peeped last week, we updated the formulas on the visual side of things.
Little something. I saw that.
You see
something. You know what I'm saying? Splashing on with little updating. You know what I mean?
You know how we do every couple. We have formulas. See, we update our formulas, but it's still blueprint and the logic. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
It's still Super Duty Tough Work. So yeah, we updating things over here. And, we want to add the live thing to our arsenal. And we're going to try that on episode 300, but we need you to participate. So yes, please participate. Now, on to today's topic. You see the title. Talk about inspiration. We talking about discipline. Most people think they're separate things. Nah. One has a direct relationship on the other one. And we talk about it sometimes on here. But in last week's episode with Cryptic One, my mans went into something that was very deep and something he and I have talked about for years, which is about inspiration being kind of overrated and why discipline is more beneficial. And so that's something that we want to talk about today. Not just that we believe it. We want to give y'all some reasons why discipline over the long term is more superior than inspiration. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Word.
We got you stuck off the realness, the most infamous, you heard of us. Official podcast murderers, the show comes equipped with viewpoints to share. Grown man ideas for all those who care and want to grow, so go ahead and download. Every single week with a brand new episode. You're not alone in this world, cousin, so we share information and honest discussion and keep repping the culture like we supposed to. They spread gossip, but they never come close to. I can hear it inside their tone. They talk about the industry but never left their home. You get laced up with bullet points and such, plus empowering topics that they never would touch. You can put your whole network against the team, but Super Duty Tough Work's the MVP. Most valuable podcast on MP3. Priceless info, but all of it's free. So take these words home and think them through. Super Duty Tough Work is coming at you. You are now listening to Super Duty Tough Work with your host, Blueprint. Raw and uncut. Adult conversations. No shucking, no jiving, and no bullshit.
Practical thing. I mean, that's pretty practical, but like the more like, I don't know, like physical thing you can do is practice and grind and learn and stay learning. And when you think you know it all, learn some more and study people who you aspire to be, not be them, but in their space. Like, I don't believe in inspiration, which is gonna sound weird. I believe in discipline. So like,
you're one of the first person I heard say that.
Yeah,
I wholeheartedly agree.
I mean, it's a hard space because all my life I was like, I'm not inspired. Like that shit is such a cop out.
Exactly.
Like, it's such a cop out. Like if you're a beat maker and you can't wake up and get in front of here and make a beat, you may not like it. Like
right.
That's the thing you have to get over. You're not gonna like everything you make. But if you can't make a beat, we can all make a beat. Like it's just pressing buttons. Like there's nothing stopping us from doing that. So get up and do it. And you gotta make 5 beats you don't like to get to the one you like. That's what you gotta do. But if you don't make those 5, you ain't gonna get there. So like, I don't believe in inspiration. Like I literally was gonna make a t-shirt that said fuck inspiration. Like this, and in small print is like discipline matters or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that has become my motto. That is something I live by. I try to live by. It's not always easy.
You heard it, folks.
Yeah.
Y'all heard it. That's a quote from Cryptic One from last week's episode, and I figured we should start right there with this discussion. There were a lot of bars dropped in that episode last week. A lot of inspiring material. And I think that is one that I would hope that everybody who listens to us picked up on immediately. We talk about these things on this show, but it's so dope to hear someone else who's been in the game a long time kind of repeat that. And a lot, you weren't really, you didn't even, you heard the episode with everybody else.
Yeah.
So I'd love to get your feedback first on that whole thing.
Well, the inspiration portion, we've talked about this multiple times, and this is one of the reasons why I, with our creative schedules that we have or had created, it's just something that you have to do with repetition. That's the only way that you're gonna get better at your craft. It's about practicing. Whenever someone goes to football practice, they're not inspired. They're going to practice. When you go to basketball practice, it's not about inspiration. It's about getting those shots up. It's the same with art. If you're not inspired to paint, you still got to paint.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not always going to be inspiration there, this light bulb over your head to say, hey, I got this dope idea about this beat I want to make. Let me go make it. You have to continue to get in front of your equipment or your canvas or, whatever you're doing, and just do it. That's the only way that it'll, the muscle memory will be created to where you can just do it whenever you want. It's just like us with rhyming. Like, we've been rhyming for so long that if we got a feature we got to do, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we got something that we got to knock out, we can sit down. If we make time, we can sit down at any moment and knock out a 16 without blinking.
Yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying? Because we've been doing it for so long. We have that practice. We have that repetition. And this is why I created my schedule, because from 7 to 10 p.m., I'm getting back to it now, now that my record's out and everything. Like, from 7 to 10 p.m., even if I'm not inspired, I listen to samples, I watch tutorials, I'll edit some video. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll do something art related for that 3 hours to make sure that I'm getting those reps in.
Yeah.
To make sure that I'm still working and perfecting my craft. And that takes discipline to do that on a regular basis. I do it Monday through Thursday. Fridays, I usually take off unless, I got extra time. But Friday's usually my rest days. But yeah, man, it's just about the repetition, and it's about sticking with that repetition in order to get your shots up,
Yeah, I agree. There's something weird, like hearing you describe it made me think that it's like when we're talking about sports, when we're talking about higher learning, when we're talking about any other in-depth business, when we talk about anything else, there isn't this dependence upon inspiration.
Not at all.
No one talks about, oh yeah, well, Bill Gates was so inspired, he just created Windows. Nobody says that shit. Oh yeah, he was so inspired, he just created the iPhone. He sat and he was listening to the fucking Doobie Brothers, and then this vision for this fucking iPhone just popped in this nigga's head. No one says that shit.
Nah, it's only art. It's only art that gets shortchanged by the inspiration month.
Yeah, it's like and I like that you use the word shortchanged because it does us a disservice.
Yes,
it gives people this impression that art is this magical, mystical thing that is not subject to the same process and procedures that other endeavors are in order to be successful.
Yep.
Right? Like, you can't just learn art by sitting down and doing it every day. Nah, you got to be inspired.
Right.
You just can't make something dope on command. You got to be feeling it that day.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not fair.
Right.
And it makes us look as though what we do is easier than what other people do.
Yeah.
Not
the case.
And yeah, it's not the case. Like, being an artist is very difficult. Making a living off of art, making money off art is very difficult. And it seems to me like this whole belief about inspiration, and how we lean on that so much versus discipline creates this perception of art that I don't think is good for art.
And I think it also creates an excuse to not do your art.
Yes.
Well, oh, I'm not inspired, so I'm not going to go to the studio today. Oh, I'm not inspired, so I'm not going to clean my brushes and, put that canvas up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not feeling it. Like, no, man. Like, I don't think that graffiti artists are inspired when they hit the streets at night and go tagging.
They just have
like,
to
it ain't about, it's just something, they've been doing it for so long. I mean, shit, a lot of the shit that we've done, especially back in the day when we used to write on the spot.
Yeah.
It wasn't about inspiration.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
It was about, okay, this is what we're doing. I'm in Cincinnati for, this weekend. I got to get some shit done. Let me pull this out. You know what I'm saying? Some of our dopest shit came from just being in that place and knowing ourselves enough to be able to pull that out of us because we've been doing it for so long. Shit, that's what Got Lyrics was. We did that shit in the weekend.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It wasn't about inspiration.
No.
It was about, we got a record that we got to do and turn in at a certain time.
Yep.
We got to knock this shit out.
Yep. Sure was. Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. And so, if you're sitting at home, I hope that this is kind of making you reevaluate some of this things, even if it just makes you reevaluate how you use the word discipline and how you use the word inspiration, and how using inspiration in certain instances may actually not be setting you free. It may actually be boxing you in to not being as productive as you need to. And so we want to talk about why discipline is better than inspiration. And we got like six joints today, And so we're going to start with the number one reason why inspiration is inferior to discipline. And reason number one is that inspiration is an emotion and discipline is a system.
That's a t-shirt.
I'll say it again. Everybody in the back, I hope y'all heard this. Inspiration is an emotion. Discipline is a system, man. Look, who would you trust to operate on your heart? Someone who's feeling it, who's in a heightened emotional state, may or may not get it right.
I'm feeling this heart surgery today. I think I'm gonna go in.
Let's go.
You know what I mean?
I'm more, you gonna trust that guy to just get in there and feel his way around, or you gonna try the guy who has a system, says, okay, when we do it, we do this first, then we do this, then we do this, we do this, and we do this. And if we do all these things right, we're gonna get this outcome 90% of the time.
Yeah.
The inspirational side is trusting on an emotion to get you there. Like on you being so amped and excited about it that you sit down and something fucking magical happens based on your emotions. But the guy who has the system, meaning a series of steps that can be identified and repeated to get a desired outcome, that's a process, that's a system, that guy will win long term.
Easily.
Because he's not looking for inspiration. All he had to do was define. The hardest part for him was finding his system. What's the best way to write a rhyme? How do I write rhymes the fastest? Well, typically, I might want to write on my phone since it's always with me. Okay, I keep a good notepad running to save my lines. Okay, I might want to keep a folder with some beats in it that I like. Fridays work for me. As soon as I get off work and I ain't got to work till Monday, man, my mind be open. On Fridays, I also like to listen to a lot of new rap music. So that's also part of my system. I listen to a new record. I listen to some instrumentals. I'll sit 2 hours aside when no one's fucking with me and I'll just write.
Yep.
That's a system.
Yeah.
That's a system. You have a process and you go through it every time. And you may not write the craziest rhyme every time you do it.
And you won't.
No. But you will have so much good material from sitting down and defining your system that eventually you're going to write crazier and crazier shit faster, more consistently than someone who's depending on an emotion to get that out of themselves.
Yeah, this is why back in the day, I always had rhymes on deck.
Yeah.
Because I would write every day. I didn't care about what I was inspired to do. I was writing rhymes every day. So I had books and notepads full of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To where even if the whole thing wasn't dope, there was a couple lines in there that I could pull into something. A lot of that writing on the spot was inspired by a lot of older shit where, okay, I got this line I can start with. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how we get into our mode. That's how we find ourselves in our art too.
Yes.
You know, is developing a system. I wouldn't have been able to make Autopilot without making a whole bunch of whack ass beats.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like for about almost a year, I didn't write a rhyme. I just sat down at my computer and tried to make beats. And 90% of them were horrible.
It's real.
But I got to a point where I could create and I could make stuff that I wanted to hear and that sounded good. It's just all about the practice and repetition, not about the inspiration. Because if we wait on inspiration, we'll be waiting forever. We'll never get no shit.
Yeah. And you'll never develop a system, right?
Ever.
Because you won't do it consistently enough to find a series of steps that works for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So that's number one. The number one thing. Let's go to number two. The number two reason why discipline beats inspiration is that discipline can be taught. Inspiration cannot. What separates a good teacher from a bad teacher? You have many artists who are amazing at what they do, but they can't really teach others how to do it.
Right.
They can't explain the process and how they came up with this and move to that step and this step in a methodical, you know what I'm saying, way. They can't. And the reason they can't do it is because they're dependent on inspiration. It was just a moment in time to them where someone who may not be as amazing of a producer in terms of his work might be an amazing teacher because his system can be taught.
Right.
The discipline that he used to become a good, solid producer can be taught to anybody at any level. And that's having a time. That's having a series of things you do. That's having an environment that works for you. There's things that they can put down. They can identify all the factors that go into making whatever it is they make, doing whatever it is they do. This is how I built my business.
Mm-hmm.
And someone can tell you, okay, at this stage, I just did this, I did this, and I got some money here, and I did this, and I developed this part of the product, and we knew that we do it for this long, and then we went to this stage of it. And then we went to the stage where we had investing, and then we went to the stage when we went public, and then we did this, and we did. They can break it down for you. It's a process. You can read books. You can go to school to learn how to build these other types of businesses and be successful at these other endeavors. Yet when it comes to art, oh, I don't know how I did that, dog. It just came to me.
And sometimes that might be true.
Right. But you can't teach that to nobody. Nobody can do nothing with that.
Right. Nobody can. And the thing is, like, when you get repetition in, those moments happen.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and those sometimes are the magical moments.
Yes.
The night that Kobe went for 81, dude, he probably couldn't tell you why.
Yeah.
That night everything dropped, but that repetition.
Yep.
And the fact that he get those shots up regularly, you're gonna have a night where you drop 81.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a night where you drop 60.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But some nights, but your regular, you know,
you just average 30.
Yeah, your
cool.
average is 30,
which is
you know
still
what I'm saying?
damn good.
Which is still very, very good. So, but you're gonna have those times when inspiration kind of takes over.
Yep.
But in order to get to those places where the inspiration taking over creates something magical, you have to have the discipline and do things in a regular, you know, methodical way to get to those points where the inspirational times are something off the chain.
Yes. Yes. Totally agree. And well said. And you know, one of the things we have to understand is that learning a skill is not even always about like learning it from someone else.
Right.
Every time we practice our craft, we are teaching ourselves a system. We are teaching ourselves how to be better. We're learning. We're students as we're making things. And so we need to have a structure with that. And I respect everybody's structure. If you look at it in terms of beat making, some people, their structure says, okay, in my system, I start with the drums.
Yep.
Some people say, no, in my system, I start with a sample. Some people's system and my system, I start at the keyboard. I started at the guitar. I started with the bass. No one's system is wrong.
Right.
But with each one, that person had to do it long enough, regularly enough, with enough consistency to discover that that's what works best for them. They taught themselves their own system. And that's what you learn when you are disciplined. When you're inspired, it's harder to get those observations to know how you work best.
Yeah.
That's number 2. Okay, so we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
This is your weekly reminder that we have 2 books that you, as a listener or watcher of this podcast, need to absolutely own. The first is The 10 Traits of Successful Hip Hop Artists, and the second is The Social Media Cheat Code. Both of these books were released within the last year. The 10 Traits of Successful Hip Hop Artists is a book where I go through the stories and explain the traits that are behind the success of some of the biggest names in hip hop today. The book has got nothing but amazing feedback. And if you are an artist, business person, whatever you do, if you would like to be inspired and would like to learn more about hip hop along the way and also see some reinforcement of the concepts that we talk about on this podcast, The 10 Traits of Successful Hip Hop is for you. Second book is The Social Media Cheat Code. That is for everyone who listens to this podcast who does not consider themselves an expert or really good at social media. It's not for super experienced people. It's actually for people who are on social media but are not getting the results you need. So what we did is I broke down like 12 or 13 strategies that I use all the time that actually work really well for me. I put it into a book. I gave you examples and I tell you how to implement it. That's a book you absolutely need as a listener to this podcast, watcher of this podcast. If you're on YouTube, supporting these books actually goes a long way towards supporting the podcast. So to support the show, if you like what we do, obviously we don't necessarily get paid to do this shit. So support the products and services that we create. And these 2 books are a big part of that. We appreciate your support, and back to the show. Quick announcement. Over the last several years, we've been asked many times by the listeners of this show if we would ever open it up to the public for advertising. We've always been interested in this, but we never had the systems in place to make it work properly. I'm proud to announce that we are officially accepting advertising from the public on Super Duty Tough Work. Meaning, if you're a small business owner or an artist and you'd like to create more awareness about your product, service, or release on the Super Duty Tough Work podcast, we're now in a position to do that. For more information, email us at superdutytoughwork@weightless.net. Again, that's superdutytoughwork@weightless.net. Email us there. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you would like to promote, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible to let you know if we think it's a good fit and what the next steps are. Thank you for your time. Back to the show. All right, folks, we're back. We talk about inspiration versus discipline. Why discipline is superior to inspiration this week. I hope you're getting something out of this. We got 2 bullet points down. We got like 4 more to go. We're going to talk about point number 3. Why discipline beats inspiration is that inspiration depends on something external, but discipline is internal. This is the whole cop-out thing. The longer you as an artist put your artistic output on something that is external, i.e. inspiration, I gotta have all these different factors that I don't control going right, or I can't create, you'll never be able to be as good or as prolific as the person who has the discipline, because the person with the discipline is not dependent on nothing external.
Right.
He's looking at, it's up to me to sit down every day. I decide the environment. I ain't waiting on the drugs to get me there. I ain't gotta be high. I ain't gotta be around this person. I ain't gotta be over there. I ain't gotta be in all these factors that I don't control have nothing to do with my discipline. My discipline is for creating a system that works for me, and that is internal, not external. And the guys who allow it to become something that's external as opposed to internal are the people we start hearing talking about these terms like, I got writer's block.
Yeah.
I got beat block.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like we was talking about this in my producer community. I'm part of Sidechain Society with Stolen Drums, and Cryptic alluded to it on the interview. But we were talking about this, and somebody was like, I've had beat block for like the last couple months, and I had to chime in like, there's no such thing. There can't. If you're a producer, there's no such thing.
Nope.
Yeah. Because either you make beats or you don't.
Right. That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it's good or not, that's a whole nother thing.
Yep.
But sitting down and actually just making a beat, that's up to you.
Yep.
Sitting down and actually writing something, that's up to you. Painting something, whatever your outlet is, that's up to you. It's not up to this, magical thing in the atmosphere that, oh, it's not 72.6 degrees, so I can't write. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's too hot.
Yeah,
it's hot. It's too cold.
It's too cold. Yeah. Like it's always something. It's in that cop out thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a writer, you write. If you're an artist,
Yeah.
you do your art. That's it.
Facts.
That's it.
Facts, bro.
That's it. Whether it's good or not, that's a different barometer. But how you get out of those situations where you feel like you're in writer's block or you feel like you're in beat block is to make a beat.
Yes.
Is to write. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the best song, one of the most popular songs on my new album is a song that I wrote to get out of writer's block about writer's block.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like shit can happen.
Oh, yeah.
Just all you got to do is do it.
Right.
Just do it.
Right. Dog, I had a feature I did one time where I wasn't sure how to approach it. And I was one of those things where, man, I don't exactly feel like writing, or I don't know what to write about. And what did I write about? Not having nothing to write about.
Yep. Yep.
And it was
the best way to
fire.
do it. It's the best way to do
Best
it.
way to do it. Like, yo, I'm not feeling it today. Write about not feeling it today and make it dope.
Yep.
And eventually you're going to get to the dope shit that you got to say that you just don't want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the most liberating things I've done as a writer is to declare that I don't believe in writer's block.
Mm-hmm.
And it pisses off a lot of people when I say this so boldly. They'll be like, what do you mean? Yeah, it is. Well, I got writer's block. You can't tell me this. Like, chill out. One of the main reasons I've declared that and I'm so adamant about writer's block not existing is because I feel when we start getting into that conversation, we're saying something beyond us.
Right.
Is trapping us.
Yeah.
We're saying we're somewhere and we're waiting on something that we don't see, control, to get us out.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Like I either have something to write about or I don't.
Yeah.
I never have writer's block. I don't know what the fuck that is. If I got time to write, I'm gonna write some shit.
Yep.
If I got something to say, I'm gonna write the shit.
Yeah.
But if I ain't got nothing to say or I'm still processing certain events, I might not write for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's time to write, I'll write a whole fucking album because the shit has been being written in my head as I organize the thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are starting to confuse like writer's block with some boogeyman, you know what I'm saying, thing that's beyond them. And it's like, no. You have built the cage that you're trapped in.
Yeah.
You hold the key to that cage. You built the cage, you put yourself in it, and you locked the door behind yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And just as you built the cage and you locked yourself in, you can open the door and let yourself out.
Yeah. Straight up. Something you said is really, really interesting because when you lock yourself in there, it's by choice.
Yes.
It's by choice.
By choice.
Like even though you're trying to attribute it to this outside thing,
Yeah.
you're making the choice to allow that thing to control you.
Mm-hmm.
You're making the choice to allow that thing to have this power over you when all you got to do is sit your ass down and write. And something else you said, writing doesn't always necessarily mean putting pen to paper.
Mm-hmm.
When we're organizing our thoughts, when we're, figuring out how we want to approach a topic, that's writing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I take samples for a whole day and I don't necessarily make a beat, but I'm thinking about those samples that I took, I'm making beats in my head.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I'm still producing. So don't necessarily confuse the fact, oh, I'm not putting pen to pad, I'm not typing on my phone, as you're not writing. As long as you're thinking about the process in which you create whatever your art is.
Yeah.
You're doing it at that moment. You may not be sitting down and putting a paintbrush to the canvas, but if you're thinking about the forms that you're going to paint next time, or, oh, I saw this dope landscape that I want to, you know what I mean? Like you're working on your art at that moment. It's not necessarily always sitting down somewhere stationary, physically doing it. If you're doing it in your head, you're still in the process.
Facts, and well said. And that's number 3. Number 4 reason discipline beats inspiration is that inspiration gives you excuses. Discipline holds you accountable. We've talked about how we have creative schedules. I shared mine. He alluded to it earlier. Granted, I'm working now, so I can't do mine like I used to. But the thing is, when you actually write up a schedule and you write down your expectations for yourself about what you should be doing at a certain time on certain days, and you are holding yourself accountable. And every day you don't do that shit, you feel bad.
Yep.
Because you know that you weren't depending on nothing else to do that but you.
Yep.
It takes discipline to stick to a creative schedule of any sort, to sit down and make your shit when you might not be feeling it that day, or you might have had a bad day, or maybe you ain't got that much time, but you don't know. Whenever you commit to doing it, it makes you accountable to that. Some people like to use inspiration as their main source of creation because ain't no accountability there. Good night, folks. We'll be here all week. Peace.
It's so real. It's so real. It's so real. You have nobody to answer to. You have nobody to answer to when you're waiting on inspiration.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, I ain't got hit by, that lightning bolt yet. So, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No, that's not it. That's not it. And the fact that we share our creative schedules and all that with people also makes us accountable. Cause it's like, oh, you ain't made no beats in a while. Oh, so you must not be on your shit. You must not be sticking to your schedule.
Yep. You know exactly why you ain't made shit. You can't hide it at all.
Nope.
Yeah. Whereas the group of the inspiration guys, they can blame anything. Well, I was going through this and this happened. I was down and this wasn't working that day and I just didn't feel it. And the Buckeyes lost.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like all kind of excuses. The Lakers lost Saturday. I ain't feel like making no beats. It's like, but your schedule says you make beats. No matter, it don't say I do this if the Lakers win.
Yeah, it's no if then.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it's no Excel formulas, for you to make.
No, ain't no conditional statements. If Lakers win, then make beats. Else pout and cry. We're not doing no computer programming. Ain't no conditional statements. This is make beats every day at this time. This, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Well, but that's number 4. Let's do number 5. Number 5. We only got 2 left, so we're just gonna knock them out. Number 5 reason, because this is kind of flows off the last one, that discipline beats inspiration is because you can track discipline. You can't track inspiration. See, one of the most important things when, we had our 90-day challenge and I was trying to do my push-ups, I got like this piece of paper on my wall in my truck, just a little piece of paper. And every day I would do my push-ups, I'd write date 100 next to it. You can track that.
Yeah.
There were times when I was inspired to do them. There's times I just didn't fucking feel like doing them. But at the end of it, I couldn't claim that I don't know how I did.
Right.
I couldn't claim that it just got away. No, motherfucker. You look at that on the wall.
Yeah.
It says you did it for 3 weeks straight. Then you didn't do it for 3 weeks straight. Then you did it a week, skipped a week, did it a week. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can track your discipline.
Yeah.
You cannot track inspiration. Oh, well, this hit me on this day, so now I can do it. You ain't gonna be tracking nothing if your main impetus to do art is inspiration. You're not tracking that.
Yeah. And you can see that you're getting better too. Like your skill level is something, even if you're not writing it down, your skill level is something that is an outward showing of your discipline. You get better at something the more you do it. That's just proven fact.
Yes.
So if you're regularly, I'm gonna go out and shoot photos every Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11. As you do that regularly, you see that your photos are getting better.
Yes.
You see that your shot selection is getting better. You'll see it. You'll notice it. It's just inevitable if you practice and you do the shit regularly and you have something that drives you to do it and to have that discipline. You'll see the progress.
Yeah, it's very true. And that even goes back to, and that's why we have our 90 days of discipline or 30 days of discipline, our discipline challenges, because we ask people to track it. You put it on a certain small window of time, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and we want you to track it. We don't say just do what you feel for the next month. We ask you to come up with a routine, with a goal, and work towards that goal, even if it's not a super ambitious one. The fact that you can track it empowers you to keep going. It holds you accountable. You and I lost weight. We lost 17, 20 something pounds after the pandemic when we started getting back in shape. But we were tracking that.
Yep.
I was tracking my meals. I was tracking everything at that point. I was tracking my exercises. I knew what I was doing that was resulting in a better outcome for me. And the same thing applies to your art. We just have to stop acting like art is different from all these other things. It's different in some sense, but it's not exempt from discipline. That's number 5. And then the last bullet point this evening is that discipline has a higher floor, inspiration has a higher ceiling. Now, I don't know about you, but if I told you you could make one good beat out of every, 50 tries, and those 50 tries would take you a year, or you could make make one great beat in 50 tries. Or I told you can make 50 beats in 2 months and 25 of them would be really good. One of them would be great. What would you do? You take the 25 really good ones and a great one over the one fucking great one that it took you a year to make. And that's because when you fuck with discipline, your floor raises. You don't have the lows that you have when you just sit around and wait on inspiration. Every day you're doing your fucking shit and your floor raises. You might not have these crazy once in a million things that happen that hit us like, oh shit, that I don't know how that shit was the 81 point games. You're not gonna have that shit all the time,
right? But
you gonna average 30. You know what I mean? Versus the dude who might score 60 and average 10. You want to keep your floor higher, because eventually your floor gets raised and raised, and it's higher than other people's ceilings.
Yep.
But discipline is the only way to get there.
Yeah, like would you rather start on the first floor every time, or start on the 5th floor every time? And then as you continue to start on that 5th floor, then next time you on the 8th floor. That's where you start.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like discipline is so important to getting better at whatever you're doing.
Yes.
Outside of that, you just freestyling. Keep it real.
It's true.
You're just going off the top every time.
Yeah.
Waiting for inspiration is akin to freestyling.
Yep. Hoping that you say something dope.
Hoping that something dope comes out. Yeah, it's not the way.
Nah, that's not it. That's not it. But that's it this week. That's it. That's all we got, folks. Let me read these back. You know, we talk about inspiration versus discipline this week. Number 1, inspiration is an emotion. Discipline is a system. Number 2, discipline can be taught. Inspiration cannot. Number 3, inspiration depends on something external. Discipline is internal. Number 4, inspiration gives you excuses while discipline holds you accountable. Number 5, you can track discipline. You cannot track inspiration. Number 6, discipline has a higher floor. Inspiration has a higher ceiling.
So many bars.
Yeah, man. I hope that y'all got something out of it this week. You know, it's a little bit of a shorter episode, but hey, it's a lot of bars in this motherfucker. And so we appreciate y'all. And episode 300, we hope to hear from y'all. And see y'all next week. Peace.
Thank you for listening to Super Duty Tough Work. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Follow the podcast on SoundCloud. Peace.
Shoot, I got styles already that's more complex that nobody know about. I mean, super duty tough work.